Hello everyone and welcome to part 7 of this My Team career mode. We are at France for this race. As you can see, we've done our practice programs, just getting ready to head into qualifying, just seeing what we can do with our resources points that we've currently got. Looks like, are we going to go for it? No, not quite. We were thinking about doing a major weight redistribution, but I think, are we going to go for that or are we going to go for heave dampers? Oh, questions. Can I make up my mind? Probably not. We're going to go for heave dampers. Okay. Like Opmir keeps saying they're heavy dampers, but they're heave dampers as we head into qualifying. Just before we do that, actually going to bump up to 103. I just realised the card damage is actually on standard, so I don't know what's going on with that for the game. But we're nerfing ourselves a little bit as we head into qualifying. So after our podium in Canada in the last race, spoiler alert, I decided that I might decide to start nerfing myself a little bit. Not a great run through the first two corners, so what I've done is I've bumped up the AI to 103, previously running on 101, and then I've also, even though I keep the racing line on, I've changed it to 2D instead of 3D, so it's a little bit harder to spot. Definitely noticeable at France, just blend into the track a little bit more, so not as obvious. So yeah, gonna see if that will help with nerfing me a little bit. Might bump up to 105 in F1 2020. I was running at 105 AI towards the end of it, so 105 was a bit too strong for me to begin with. But that is qualifying actually done on the second lap. Second lap was definitely a lot better than it was the first one, and just now got to see where that puts us for qualifying, and not in the top 14, which is never good. And let's see where we actually end up. It's P17, 10th, nearly a tenth and a half off Giovinazzi. Okay then, so looks like the nerfing has done a little bit. Probably, if I was still running up 101, might have made it into Q1, but that's what we're running with now. We're running with 103 for this race, and yeah, we're just going to have to kind of see how that deals with us going forwards. Hopefully it makes us a bit more fair and balanced as we head into today's race.
Welcome along then to France, host of the world-famous Tour de France. But we're not talking two wheels today, we're talking four, in a country widely thought of as giving birth to the art of motor racing back in the late 1800s. We've come a long way since then, and you're about to find out how far. It's time for the French Grand Prix. 6 lefts and 9 rights give us a total of 15 corners here at the circuit Paul Ricard, and a lap covers an overall distance of 3.6 miles. Average speeds will be somewhere in the region of 142 miles per hour, and they'll be maxing out on the Mistral Straight at around 205 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Norris, Max Verstappen and Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Vettel and Lance Stroll, Gasly, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso and Ocon, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, James and Mick Schumacher, Tigtum, Russell, Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
So dry race throughout, looks like soft, medium is going to be the strategy to go for. Definitely fastest one. Make sure we take some fuel out. Just checking what everybody else is kind of, running on. Everybody's running on the mediums, soft, sorry, apart from George on the mediums. So I think we're just going to stay on the softs and stick with our strategy. Hopefully our race pace is a lot better than what it is. 5 lights and away we go. Oh, definitely a lot better start compared to Giovinazzi. Oh, good run. Okay, I think I've still got Giovinazzi up my inside, but I'm going to dive bomb. That's not the best idea in the world. Do skip the corner, but have to give the one place back. 2 Taufataouis there getting caught up with each other. Got Esteban Ocon up our inside now. Managed to bump into him. Maybe it's a good thing we are on standard then, because if we would have lost probably a bit of front wing. If somebody else's goes fine, it's definitely not mine, as we can see by the damage indicator. Round the outside of, I think that might be Sonoda. Very wide though, so I don't know. Definitely probably just a bit of dirty air, a bit lack of grip because it's the beginning of the race. Tyres are a little bit cold.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're
yeah, nothing coming out of the rest of their first 2 laps really. DRS has now been activated. You can see everybody's still kind of sat in line. Dropped the alphas a little bit, can't really see them in my mirrors. As we come up to the end of lap 5 now, I've actually lost the DRS to Ocon, which is a slight bit of a shame. I don't think I was particularly strong during the final sector. But there definitely seems to be somebody that's holding up this train now, which is actually allowing us to catch up. As you can see at the end of lap 9 now, probably in about a 7 or 8 car train. So there's definitely somebody going slow. Looks like we've got a decent run. Jeff's telling me about tyre grip. Decent run on Ocon into the first corner, and actually we've made an overtake on him. So that's good, moving up a place. I don't think we're particularly high up, probably P13 or 14 now. I think that's Gasly now that's in front of us, in front of definitely a whole bunch of cars that are going slow. I don't think it's Alonso that's holding up this train. Although by the looks of it, there doesn't seem to be anybody else in front of the 2 Ferraris apart from Alonso. So maybe Alonso's just kind of holding everybody up. He might have damage. P13.
Less than a second. They're on old softs. Ocon behind. Less than a second
So I don't know who actually still is in front of me. Might be Gasly, might be Sonoda. I'm not 100% sure. As far as I'm aware, it is an AlphaTauri. And yeah, so we've got a few laps until our pit window opens. I think we're now actually got 2 laps until our pit window opens now. Quite close, and okay, what's going on up ahead? Looks like the Ferraris having a bit of a squabble with each other, going through that corner. And what's going on here? Oh, it's not actually 2 Ferraris, it's a, is that Perez? I think that's Perez. The Sainz just made a move past Perez. Relatively unconventional overtaking spot, I think, into that corner, but it is what it is. Obviously Sainz got a very good run down the DRS and then out of the chicane, as all 3 of them now pit. So Sainz has overtaken Perez, and then Sainz, Perez and Stroll, I think that's Stroll, have all pitted. So I think we've got 1 more lap until our pit window opens. Here we go. Okay, 2 more laps. Lap 14 now, so pit window's open. Now that Sonoda or Gasly has lost the DRS from the train in front, relatively easy pickings. I think Alonso must have pitted on the lap before. And here we are, lap 14 now, coming in for our stop. So, got rid of our first stint of tyres. Looks like we're being followed in by the 2 people behind us. Actually, I think I've overtaken Alonso. So I've overtaken Alonso somewhere, and then, yeah, because there's... Where's that Ocon? I can never tell. The problem is I take off the driver's name so I don't know who's around me, and then it makes it hard to commentate. But anyway, we're coming in for our first stop here, and I do have front wing damage, and they're changing my front wing. Brilliant. So all of that work that I've made to overtake these 2 guys, and it's all been completely lost because I've got front wing damage, which Jeff hasn't told me about, and the game's decided to change. So that's something that really I think needs fixing in this game going forward. I think we've even lost out now to Wacom, which is, you know, not ideal, as moves and moves and moves are being made up ahead. There we go, got a decent run now. Everybody's kind of slowing each other up. Everybody's gone onto the medium, so I don't think anybody else had a fresh pair of softs. So I think we're definitely in an advantage in that state, going for a soft medium. What's going on up ahead? Everybody's kind of holding each other up, and we've just made four overtakes. How have we done that? I think the Ferrari's gone. Perez must have pushed that Ferrari wide, and then all of a sudden we've just dipped up the inside of 4 of them as they've all followed each other around. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Did not expect that to go into that corner whatsoever. As somebody else makes, I think, their first pit stop, that must be Tictum. So Dan's coming for his first stop. And yeah, just all of a sudden the door opened up for me, and like a bit Perez, we made the most of it. Here we're on lap 16 now, got the DRS on him, got a nice big old toe coming out. Full use of VRS as well, make sure we dump as much of that as we can. And that's us up, we head to another place, just about made the corner. I was struggling a little bit with brake sensitivity throughout this entire weekend. It kept sticking in during practices, and then I kind of fully pushed down the brake pedal, and all of a sudden my brake pedal was just going really, really long all the time. So here we are, end of lap 17. We've actually set the fastest lap of the race so far, which is quite surprising, as we make a move past one of the Aston Martins, probably Stroll. And now we're back onto Alonso again, but Lewis Hamilton's out of the race. And now we've got a safety car. So what has happened to Hamilton then? As we check the race directory, he's actually got terminal damage. He's hit Bottas as a warning. What's going on here? So one of the two Mercedes have definitely collided. Here's Bottas. No, I've kind of, yeah, so Hamilton's actually out at this point, as we can see here. And so Bottas is fighting with Ricciardo. And then Hamilton just misjudges it and just drives into the back of Bottas. And that's him out of the race. So actually in a great position now, with the safety car in, to kind of come and, you know, make the use of these tyres. Everybody else is pretty much on mediums, and we've tried to go up the inside of Ocon a little bit too early there, a little bit too eager coming out of the final corner. Actually didn't want to overtake him too early there, in case we got a penalty or penalised or had to give back the position because we overtook in the wrong position. But we are going to go up the inside of the first corner. Long brake pedal definitely not helping there to make the corner properly. But now we've got some work to do. Everybody ahead of us is pretty much on mediums, so we've got to try and make the most that we can. I think we're sitting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're sitting in P6 currently now, so we're doing quite well for ourselves. Make that P5 as DRS has now been re-enabled a few laps later on. Nice run on Alonso, down the back straight, and that is us now up into P5. So I think it's Verstappen ahead of us now, and then the 2 McLarens and the remaining Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas. I don't really think you can blame him for that. I think Hamilton's AI is just completely misjudged the gap. But as I was talking over it, I think Verstappen there, because it didn't state, it said Red Bull driver and Norris. So I think Verstappen, which we've just overtaken, might have a problem. He's definitely quite slow. We really made it, you know, it was really easy overtake. And now I think his issues kind of resolved itself because he's now started to come back onto us. But now we're catching up to Norris, who's still got his issue. Norris still got an issue, so we're definitely catching up onto him. But Verstappen's now behind us, well, still behind us as well, but I think his issue has definitely resolved if he was the one that had an issue. But when they say the Red Bull driver, it's kind of like, well, both of them are still in the race, so it's tough to say actually who's the one with the issue. But we're catching Norris. I think Verstappen's catching us, and obviously Norris as well, so we're just going to keep ploughing on, see if we can try and make a move at some point. I'm going to have the DRS down the back straight here. Sorry, down the pit straight. yeah. Looks like we've got a decent run. DRS and ERS, going to make the most of it, try and get past him now whilst he's still slow. Hopefully he'll hold up Verstappen a little bit. And that, even though we've naffed ourselves, only 2 points on the AI speed. We're actually in a podium position again somehow. Not entirely sure how that's happened to be the case. I think our strategy just definitely has worked out as our pit window is now opened. We're going to go onto the mediums. Everybody else I think is going to go onto the mediums. We've got to do half the race nearly on this new set of mediums. So yeah, it's going to be a long old stint on the mediums, but tyre wear doesn't seem too bad around this track, and our pace seems relatively good. I think at this point now, both Verstappen and Norris might have pitted again, or at least they're holding each other up, because they're definitely not in my mirror. Well, I can just about see them in my mirrors. Looks like we're going to extend the stint by a little bit, just to try and make use of these soft tyres. We did have a safety car during this period, so you know the tyre, we've not worn the tyres out quite as much as what we've used to, but it looks like we're only going to do one more lap. Late decision, just about slowed down for the stop, but I made a late decision to come into the pits on this lap. I think I was starting to lose a little bit of time behind. Definitely no front wing changes because we've not made any contact with anybody, and we've got the front wing changed, you know, off. So even though the damage is set to simulation, damage rate, I do need to change back up to simulation as well.
Daniel is in the pits. Daniel in the pits.
Unfortunately, it looks like we might hold up our team out a little bit just with the way that the AI... I think the AI needs to change in terms of pit stops as well now. So that a double stack can actually be done. Because I think one of the big problems as well is the fact that we can't double stack efficiently without one driver being screwed over. But back on the tail end of one of the Alpha Towers again. Looks like he's on the medium and he's on the softs as well, so definitely got the pace advantage. He's going to have an old pair of softs on, so he's probably going to be looking to get rid of those relatively soon.
Good work. Great pass.
Don't think he can finish the race on this set of tyres. And we also have an Alfa Romeo in front of us as well, so not sure exactly where we've been brought out to, but there's definitely some people who are still out of sync. There's going to be some people who still need to do one more pit stop. I think the majority field probably is in actually that case. So yeah, we've just got to plow on with our strategy, try not to get held up by these guys. We're definitely faster than them. Our race pace seems to be really pretty good around France with this setup, and just got to make sure we don't get held up too much by the AI as we overtake them, or try to make use of them as best we can and getting DRS down the back straight to help improve, because we are currently in a fight with probably Norris and Verstappen with regards to trying to get a podium place. I think Ricciardo and Bottas are too far ahead down the road. Definitely got the pace advantage, and the longer that Norris kind of stays out with his issue, it's going to be better for us. We might have the pace over Verstappen. It's kind of, it's tough to tell at the moment. I think the softs kind of might have given us a bit of false intention, as we've got DRS now on Giovinazzi. A nice, clean, easy move round, well, I guess round the outside. But yeah, skipping forward now.
Okay, gap ahead is
nothing really happened after that. We've just been kind of managing the gap to everybody. Verstappen and Verstappen and Norris have both pitted. But yeah, we're currently sat in third. We're a second a lap slower than Bottas, so we've got no chance whatsoever. Verstappen's been slowly reeling ourselves in. But Verstappen's on hards compared to us on mediums, so hopefully with a bit of tyre advantage we might actually be able to keep him ahead. But he is, slowly catching us, but that is inevitable. He is in a Red Bull, and Mazepin is out of the race.
Very sad. Anyway, it got me thinking.
Sorry, that was literally the first thing I thought of when I saw him. When I saw him go out in this race, I was just like, yes, very sad. Anyway, so Mazepin's out of the race. I think he's the first retiree of this session so far. But now with 8 laps to go, you know, pressure's really on. We've been caught up now by Norris with huge closing speed. How he didn't run into the back of me there, I don't quite know. Decided he wasn't going to dive bomb me, but now we've got Norris who's overtaking Verstappen at some point. And McLaren is very quick in the straight line, and he's also on the mediums.
Is 20.0 seconds.
So we're nearly a full pit stop behind now. So this is the battle for third. And yeah, here comes Norris down up the inside of the first corner. Kind of sort of give him the space. Did squeeze him a little bit. Probably a little bit cheeky from us there, but we are trying to defend as best we can. Didn't pose much of a threat down the main straight, but we've left the door open now coming into this section. Both of us kind of running a little bit wide. Unfortunately can't get the switch back on him as he's just got too much pace. He's on fresher tyres than what we are slightly. And unfortunately that's the podium position gone. I did try my best to kind of, you know, hold on as best as I could to that, but Norris and that McLaren is just too quick, especially around this track. There's too much of a performance gap between us. There's not really much of a fight back. Verstappen going up our inside, had a bit of a look. He did actually get up the inside, but you know, didn't commit. We did leave him the space, but that was kind of it for that attack for that lap. Cutting to the next lap now, and here he is coming again. I think we've got just about enough of a straight line advantage on him. We're getting just about good enough drive out of the first sector, kind of slow section, onto the straight to kind of keep him at bay. And he's definitely not got any pace coming out of the chicane as well. So here we are then, lap 51. Didn't pose much of a threat on lap 50. Lap 51, he's going to try going up the inside. Do leave him the space up the inside, but he does back out of it. Brake pedal going, making me go long again. Just about stopped myself from spinning out there.
There's 4 laps of fuel remaining.
Would not have been great, but he's now posing quite a bit of attacks. Kind of seen the mistake from myself. I'm just going to try and go around the outside. I'm going to hold it round with him. He has got in front of us for the moment, but as we've got our nose in, he's kind of gone a little bit deep so he can give us space and we don't cause a collision. Left the door up for the inside for us, and that's us back into P4. So having a good old little scrap with him. We've gone wide into that corner as well. You have to use a little bit of ERS, which, you know, not the greatest with as little as we've got left, but does help us defend the position and hold on for another lap. 2 laps to go at the end of this one. We might just be able to do it. I think we've got just about enough tyres, just about enough ERS, and just about enough pace on ourselves to be able to hold him off. As long as we don't make too many mistakes around the lap, especially coming out onto this back straight here. I think we'll have enough pace to kind of, you know, deal with him. This time, you know, it's too far back. Get the actual corner correctly. I think by this point I was just about getting everything alright, but we're definitely losing rear tyre grip. Do squeeze him a little bit, trying to squeeze him, but we are leaving him in space. It's just about keeping himself on the track. Although I did think to sell all 4 tyres off the track, but we have, you know, gave him the space, but squeezed him a little bit, just trying to defend the position as much as we can. Last lap then, last chance for him to kind of really make any dent in his attempts of getting P4. Looks like we've got a lot of fuel, so we could have taken out even more. I know we've had a safety car as well. But no real attack going into that corner. We've got a decent exit coming out of the chicane. This is kind of his last opportunity to make any attempt on overtaking us. I think he's too far back this time. We used virtually all of our ERS, which we can tell now because he is closing up massively to us. And that's kind of that was his last attempt. Valtteri Bottas wins the race. Pretty comfortable for him. Ricciardo's come over in P2. And Norris will soon be coming over in P3, so any opportunity? No, he's not really coming up round our inside. Last lap pit? No, not making last lap pit. Through the final corner, Norris comes on in P3, and we're going to hold on, dump. Wait a minute. How's there a McLaren behind us? Wait. Who is that?
Nice work, you did well today. I think the boss will be happy with that one.
Of course I'm going to be happy with it. I am the boss. But there's a McLaren. Is that Ricciardo? What's Ricciardo doing behind us? Wait a minute. Are we on the podium?
Around Paul Ricard today, and they've taken a fantastic win. What do you think it was?
We're on the podium. How have we done that?
Competition today.
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened with that.
Somehow we're on the podium.
No question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Is that a podium? I think that's a freaking podium,
After an
boys.
excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be
Yeah, there we
plenty
are.
of celebrations
Bottas
tonight
wins.
amongst the
That's
Mercedes
Norris
team,
in second.
and they certainly deserve
So what
it.
the hell happened to Daniel Ricciardo? That's a back-to-back podium for us. Wow. So we've definitely now cleared our team objective, our team goal. So it's nice to know we've got that nice big chunk of money coming. I think we cleared it in Canada anyway, but we've just got to make sure now that we utilise as much team acclaim as we can to get as big as bonus as we can, which will help us going into the second season and really, really
Let's
close
have a
up that
quick
gap
look at
to
how
everybody
the driver
else.
standings have changed.
Yeah, Ricciardo
That lead
finished
at
in
the top of the
fifth.
table has shrunk somewhat today. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I have to give it to James. They demonstrated a very delicate touch in close proximity to
Out
other
in
cars,
Q1 to
as
won
well
the
as showing
podium.
a
I
lot
mean,
of
there was a lot of
maturity and
mistakes. Our
patience in
strategy
difficult
definitely helped with
situations.
that as well.
Let's move on to the constructors.
But here we go.
The lead
Yeah,
at the top comes down after a
managed to
strong weekend
squeeze in the
from
third
challenging
position.
pack. Meanwhile, good work
No,
from
nothing
the
on
other
there
drivers
at all.
team this
Mazepin was the
weekend,
only
who pushed
second
themselves
other retirement.
further up the order.
But when
been
we
an
kind of checked the
absolutely
pit stops,
wild
he's
weekend
had to do a
of
front wing
Formula 1
change, as
I
does
can't
Perez.
wait to
So
see what's next.
I don't know what's going to happen to everybody there. But Perez has thrown away probably a decent finish as well, having won the last race. And yeah, Daniel Ricciardo somehow needing a fresh pit stop. He's probably had some sort of battle with Bottas, I'm guessing, and yeah, contact. Bottas has forced him to have a front wing change. Well, I won't say forced, but he's needed a front wing change, and that's kind of cost him a podium. So yeah, I don't think I'll have to check the race replay with that. And here we are now, lap 50. So it's only actually just happened towards the end of the race. Ricciardo's got DRS, probably using his ERS as well. Bottas up ahead. Bottas kind of leaving him the space, a little bit off track. Bottas just locks up, and Daniel just drives his front wing into his front tyre. And there you go, that's it. Enough damage that he, even though they were 20 seconds up the road from us, didn't feel like it was worth carrying on and, staying in that position to the end of the race. So, yeah, cost himself a podium with that on. Comfortable, easy win in the end for Daniel Ricciardo. Sorry, not Daniel Ricciardo, Valtteri
Let's
Bottas.
have your thoughts. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Let's just see, when either one of these are going to
You're
improve the aero.
surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
I think we're going to beef up the aero a little bit.
How
Oh,
do you
that
feel
one
the
did our
competition
reclaim.
is for you this season?
Always got to go right with that one because of it just it
Do you
always
have
helps you
any
with your
comments about
acclaim.
the collisions?
No comments because all those ones just going to degrade the morale of everybody, so we're not going to comment on that one.
Appreciate your time.
I don't even know who the necessarily the collision that she's talking about with. So if there's not one of those, we're all the best drivers. There's no point answering it because it's only going to hurt your acclaim. A nice 5-2 on the rivalry. I think that's going to put us 1 point away now from beating Kimi Räikkönen in this rivalry, which will be good. We're actually going to hit Acclaim 6 ourselves, so we're level with Dan, and we hit Team 9, and we beat our rival during the race. So I think that was pretty surprisingly decent result at the end of that race. I wasn't particularly expecting much coming out of it in going out in Q1 by what was nearly a tenth and a half. But we definitely made the most of some mistakes from the AI. That safety car period definitely helped us as well. I've got a nice chunk of resource points, and what we're going to do for... I don't think we want to do a podium celebration necessarily, not for if it was a 2-day. But yeah, it's not really worth it, so we're going to do a bit of marketing. I think that's going to help. We did actually have an issue during that just before kind of Verstappen caught up with us. The engine actually switched to lean, which is why we also ended up saving so much fuel. So we get a nice chunk of resource points coming through that as well. Only lasted a lap, maybe. But yeah, kind of if I'd underfueled the car, it would have been nice to have gotten that, that fuel back. But there we are. We're going to do a quality control, spend a bit of cash, quality control for the engine. And is there anything else we can kind of do for this? So we've got a little bit of money left over, so we're going to look at investing that just into ourselves, as the median coaching is still level 0. Just opens up an additional answer in that situation. Also gives us better options for interviews. And yeah, that's kind of going to do it for the end of this race. For the end of this episode. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.